Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Pretzel Sticks Mix. I'm obviously in a new setup here. This is a first time thing for me, so I may be glancing over at my notes I have with me. I'll try not to do that too much so it's not so scripted, but bear with me here as we go through this video. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about this new Charli XCX album, Music, Fashion, and Film. And I don't want this to be a album review, although we are discussing it. I more so want to talk about my experience listening to the album, how I came to be a fan of Charli XCX, and just what I think of the songs. I'm not going to talk about every song, but anyway, we'll just see how it goes. So, I think I started, well, of course, everybody heard the song I Love It by Iconopop featuring Charli XCX. I think that was most people's first introduction to her, myself included. Then she had songs like Boom Clap on the radio, and then she had the Vroom Vroom EP in 2016, which was a big change in her sound, which sort of led her into this whole arc that she's in right now. But we'll get more into that later, because when I first really started listening to her was, I think it was 2019's Charli, which you could say is her self-titled record, which I gave a try. I was hearing some talk about. I wasn't super into it, but I was paying attention to her when it was an album I am a big fan of, How I'm Feeling Now, in 2020. This came out about a month into the pandemic of 2020, and I, again, was not super into it, and I didn't fully grasp what she was trying to do yet. Although the sounds were very, she always had this electronic sound in her more modern era, which those of you who are fans of her will know. And again, I'm not going to get too into the technical of it all. I'm just going to try to do my best to offer a perspective with all this that is interesting, because I'm not a musician. I don't claim to be. But anyway, just more so how the music made me feel and what I got out of it. So, yeah, obviously, when you're listening to that album, it's a very kind of desperate album, where she talks about wanting to see her friends. She misses them. Anyway, I have come to love that album very much. And then there was 2022, I believe's Crash, which went for a more commercial sound. And I listened to it once again, and that one I'm still not as big of a fan of, but I have listened to more recently and have come to appreciate even how she can perform in this pop lane, which obviously she started in pop and still is pop, but that one, she even has said in interviews, was more so like the label, people in the industry telling her to go for a more mainstream sound. And at that point, that kind of was her most successful album that had come out. And then last but not least, before this, Brat. You all know it, I would think. You may not love it, but I loved Brat. And then when I heard Brat, it was crazy to me that an album that was so electronic and experimental would break in to the mainstream like it did. There was the whole Brat summer going on, and yeah, I listened to that thing front to back so many times. I always loved EDM, and it really clicked with me what she was trying to do then, because not only was it a EDM pop album that was very like finely tuned, but the lyrics were very personal. There was a lot that she had to say on the album about her life. Her now husband George was talked about, of the 1975. But anyway, I've been dwelling too long on these past albums. Today we want to talk about music, fashion, film. This Charli XCX new album came out almost 2 weeks ago now, but as I said in my last video, I wanted to wait for this vinyl to arrive to get talking about it here. So, on the cover here, we have, so I don't screw it up, look at the notes, John Cale of the Velvet Underground, which I haven't checked out yet, but I know I should. They're a very famous band from back in the day. And then we have fashion designer Marc Jacobs, and then we have, who I am most familiar with, Martin Scorsese, which directed Wolf of Wall Street, more recently Killers of the Flower Moon, and many other classic films. So with the rollout of this album, I think she had a lot of newer listeners who were listening to Brat, expecting something of a more, similar to Brat sound. But ever since Brat, she had been super busy with, she did a movie, The Moment, which I haven't seen, about Brat, I guess, and just the making of it and how she felt in the moment. And then also she got tapped to do the soundtrack for Wuthering Heights, which I've seen that movie, and it's, but that song Chains of Love is basically the heart and soul of the film. So if I were to recommend a song from that, it would be Chains of Love. But yeah, I've been dawdling for like 7 minutes here getting into this album. So here we go. So she opened this album rollout with Rock Music, which was a lead single, and it's also the first song. And there was a lot of blowback to both the style of it as, rock music. I think she was making a statement here that it was not going to be the same thing as Brat. So EDM heavy and glitchy as it was, this rock music song was more, it even does have the same glitchy sound as before with the stuttering vocals, but she said the dance floor is dead on this song, and it triggered a lot of people on the internet, which I know is a big surprise, but I think that this song is best taken in the context of the album, because myself, I only listened to this song like probably once before I heard the album, and then the following song, SS26, which is the second single and also the second song on the album, comes right after it, meaning Spring Summer 26. And this one is more of a slow, sort of quiet type of song, whereas Rock Music is kind of just like an upbeat like song where she's going, I'm really banging my head, the dance floor is dead, me and my friends, we like to go out, kind of setting the stage for what you're going to hear on this album. And I think it works really well as an opener, Rock Music. But then Spring Summer 26 is a lot more depressing, as she says, Spring Summer 26, when the world is going to end, no hope for any of it, which the first couple times, until I had looked up this lyric for this video, I thought she was saying, Spring Summer 26, when the world is gonna end, I'll hope for any fit, which, because it's fashion, I thought, okay, well, it's a little more depressing when she says no hope for any of it. Um, Nothing's gonna save us, not music, fashion, or film. So obviously, she's not satisfied with the state of the world right now. So I guess it's kind of sarcastic lyrics about how it doesn't matter what she's doing, but I would argue that it does, because people listen to this. Music is a powerful thing. You hear it and you think, you know, you can change your perspective about a lot of things when you hear music. And I think that Charli has opened a lot of people's eyes to this, like by hearing Brat and being so impressed by it. This album, I don't know as far as the reception if it will land the same, but I digress. Anyway, she's sort of downplaying the importance of what she's doing with this song, and just as a musician, fashion icon, etc. Being in films, involved with film lately. And then we have, after that, Card Declined, which is even more of a dejected song, I would say, where you have the guitars coming in, and the whole album is these guitars mixed with A.G. Cook's production, which is the same producer she's been working with for a long time. But the sound is not a sound that I think is going to be as friendly overall to people that had heard Brat. But even when you're hearing Brat, like I said, it's not like, none of these songs were like on the radio. They may be great, but they're not like radio hits. Like the topics they deal with and the production is just like too crazy to be on like top 40 stations, I feel like. Yeah, and Card Declined is definitely that. That song primarily deals with, she's swiping her credit card, she's buying these things, she wants to buy a whole new life. Card Declined. I feel that this song has not clicked with me as much as any of the other songs on this album. So I'm going to move on from talking about that one, although, like, I'm not saying it's a skip, but we have Camera after that, which I would recommend to you if you are new to her music as being the single you should check out. Because Camera's it still has this glitchy sound that she's kind of known for at this point, but it's on this song, she's like asking herself all these questions, like, do I want to make music? Am I being effing stupid if I try to be a girl on the screen when I'm turning 34? Basically a song about acting and how you act to escape who you are, or at least that's why she's doing it. And she's asking all these questions to herself, and then the chorus comes in, which is like fantastic to me. And she goes, but all I know is how it makes me feel, and it makes me feel. And she repeats that. And the instrumental just kind of washes over you when you're listening to that song and makes you feel. And that's what she's trying to get across. But yeah, I would recommend that song. If you're going to check out one, that would be a good one to start with, or the 8th track, Wink Wink, which I'll talk about next. It's a really like more upbeat song as well, which they all kind of have like this dejected tone where she questions what she's doing, which kind of runs through the whole album. But Wink Wink is kind of like, it's like she's flirting with the idea that she has this like party girl like things she would do, like, oh, I'm not that girl anymore. It's the truth, and I gotta be honest. She says, I'm not a bad girl anymore. I promise. Wink, wink. Um, but yeah, this one is just a really like summery, poppy sounding song. If you want that one, like, yeah, Camera and Wink Wink are the two singles I would probably recommend you check out, and then maybe like SS26, and then just listen to the album, because it's only an 11 track album, but and it's only 30 minutes, but yeah, for people that like would like to try it, those are the songs I would recommend. So I'm gonna jump back to the song I'm Afraid now, which is the 6th track. This is more of like a depressed, this is probably like the saddest song instrumentally on this album, where I'm afraid, she says, I'm she's talking about how she might not be fit to be a wife, basically. And I'm nothing without him. Take the ring, take the ring. And then there's just this like cacophony of sounds at the end. Just, I feel like represents her doubts that she has about herself, and everything that she's done in life or will do being a mistake, like overthinking things, like which she kind of on Brat had this too, like not to this extent, but just this self-doubt that, like, I think this album is good to hear, like, someone, who portrays herself as she does, Charli XCX, to seem so insecure about herself when she's this, like, shows off her body, like, is always dressing, like she's a fashion icon, etc., like having these insecure thoughts. So I feel like we can listen to that song and take from it that we all have these doubts, and like I was nervous to record this video, like, because people are critical, and like it's not like I have this huge following, but like it's something that you want to do, like even on the song Camera, how like it makes you feel. It's like it's better to do these things. But what I'm trying to say is she's afraid, but like you gotta keep it on, Charli, because like you are doing your best and we're all doing our best. And this album is kind of, it hits a personal chord, like, because music, fashion, film, I care a lot about art on this channel. Now I'm trying to talk about all these different things that I care about. This room's full of all these things that I like and that I care about, and we should all like strive to do our best and know each other, and that is all she's doing. And then that's actually a good transition into track number 9 that I'm going to talk about next, Persona, which is when Charli's talking about a relationship she has with someone she's good friends with, but they're clearly wearing a mask. They have a lot of respect for each other, but it sounds like this person wants to act cool. I'm sure the internet will be speculating or talking about who it is, but I'm trying to not look into that and just make of it what I will. And she says, "Don't effing choke on your ego when you see me coming. I know you're performing. I know that you're hurting, so you try to hide it when you see me coming." This one is cool too, because it kind of exposes like people who are just being fake, which like we're all fake at times, but like, just put it on your album and say, like, she says that they're reflections of life imitating art or something along those lines, about how like they're both putting on these personas, but like let's be real here, and like come on, basically, to this guy. And this song is a really cool blending of like guitar and electronic sounds, and it kind of has this like this whole album like has this way, and I know I'm not really good here with like how I'm describing the musicality of it, but um it just works like really well in this song. And one that I can probably describe better is the song Yeah, which is before this one. I think it's track 7. Uh but it's just like kind of a low key guitar, and she's going, "You don't wanna, I don't wanna," and like she's just kind of saying that like in a more sullen tone. And this is one that's really not for the people that just want like a pop song, because she's just going, "You don't want to," and like that's the song. And now you want to feel it, and then it goes, the instrumental washes over you, and it's just this one I wasn't going to talk about originally, but I like this one a lot because it kind of like represents when you're with someone. Like with Charlie, I feel like it's like I thought of if you followed Brad at all, like the song Apple was like trendy on that album, and she kept saying to her husband like, "Oh, you should do the apple dance," and he's like, "I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it," and she's like, "George, do the apple dance." And then like later at one of her concerts, like he finally does the apple dance, and like it was like a really cute moment between them. I feel like um it kind of describes like the ebb and flow of like how in a relationship with anyone, like maybe you don't want to try like things that they're into, or they don't want to try things you're into, and you're like, "Oh, okay, like you are who you are," but like when you share these things with someone, like it just feels really nice, like to share something like music, which like again why I want to talk about this is to share that, because this is something I just felt like more passionately about and would like to talk to you all about it. So I thought it would be a good idea for this channel. Um, so yeah, it's like I've really come around to that one. I didn't like it at first. Like it's definitely a grower for sure. Um, but yeah, that's what I got from that song, and it really worked for me. And then we have the 10th song, Magic Metal Montana. And I really love this one. Uh, the production's really emphasized on it. And I feel like this song is kind of like a sequel to the song So I on Brat, where she's reflecting on her relationship with the producer Sophie, who was really helping her like change her sound. And both producers, A.G. Cook and Sophie, kind of were really like trailblazers in the hyperpop subgenre. Um, but that song, Sophie tragically passed away from an accident, and on So I, it's a really touching like tribute to her life, but also talking about like how things she wish like she would have done or said, and she was kind of pulling away from Sophie like when she passed away. Um, so on Magic Metal Montana, what that means is those are 3 things that her now producer and friend, which she makes really clear on this song, really likes. He likes magic, metal music, and the state Montana, I guess. So yeah, I think this is a pretty sweet song about how like, you know, she just loves him, and she'd be sad if he died, which, you know, that's the very unfortunate passing of Sophie was clearly weighing on Charli's conscience, and I guess you could say that like she wouldn't make this song if it weren't for that. But like, you know, again, she's trying her best, like on I'm Afraid, and she's just trying to do things right. Um, and that kind of leads into the last song, No One Lasts Forever, which ends with a monologue from David Cronenberg, which he's another film director. I watched his movie The Fly last year from the 80s, which is a great horror film I would recommend to you. And he has done a lot of other horror. And I need to watch more of his movies because that's the only one I've seen. But anyway, this song is No One Lasts Forever, as you might expect, is about the fleeting nature of life. What people think of Charli. It's just kind of saying that like she's not more important than anyone else, and like she's gonna die eventually. Um, it kind of sounds like to me like she's de-emphasizing art, but like it seems like it's more about the experience because like on the end of the song, David Cronenberg is like talking about this like near death experience he had where he says I wasn't thinking about art. um he was just thinking about like humanity and like the life he lived, not his impact, nothing like that. Which I feel like should put us like at ease a little bit, and it's maybe like Charli's way of like talking herself down, like don't put so much pressure on myself. And then it has like probably a minute at least of something that she wanted to emphasize, I guess, him saying, what once these ancient artists who that they died, they are dead, they are gone, no one lasts forever. That repeats for like over a minute. Yeah, and she just really wants to iterate that like no one lasts forever, as it's called. But the impact is appreciated, Charli, and that is what I'm getting across in this video. I really enjoyed this album. I highly recommend it. Um, it's probably between that and Brat for my favorite of hers. Like, I'm not gonna be scoring anything. Like I said, this is kind of just me like talking about my experience with it and trying to get across to you how I am reading into it. And like, it's about the experience, like sharing the experience. And I'm sorry I haven't been very well spoken this video, but I'm doing my best and I enjoy making it. So this has been the Pretzel Sticks Mix. Thank you for watching. Sorry it's so long. Hopefully you enjoy it. Oh, and I know I said this was a long video, but for those of you who wanted to stick around, I almost forgot. I was going to crack this open because I have not opened this vinyl or looked into it at all yet. So we're going to see what's inside here. I've never seen a string like this on a record before. So let's see what we got inside. Hold on a second. What do we have here? I actually pre-ordered this vinyl as soon as the album was released because I knew I would want it. And there's like this signed art card, which I guess a lot of artists have been doing lately. There's Charli. Oh, there's a lot of pictures of I think the other producer of hers is Finn. That might be him on the right there. Studio. You got the couch. There's Charli. I feel so lucky that I feel so inspired. Neat. I guess that's not the signed art card. Oh, I did not know all this stuff would be in here. Oh, here it is. There's the signature. I can see it, the C and the L. And here we have the baby blue vinyl. Yeah, I'm gonna cut it here though because oh, well, here you have the track listing on the back. But yeah, very cool. But yeah, this is very long, so I'm gonna cut it here. Thank you all for watching.